All right, my friends, welcome to episode 167 of Prof and Dev Play.
67? 61.
167 is the wrong number. Welcome to episode 161 of Prof and Dev Play Games. I am Professor Larry. Over there is Anthony the Dev. He is at Summer Speak. I am at Prof Plays Games. And I was thinking of the next line I wanted to say and completely forgot the number. What I wanted to say was welcome to the first episode of the AssCast, where we talk about Assassin's Creed on this podcast every single week.
Oh my god, AssCast is amazing.
I'm half thinking about starting that. Of course, whoever's listening to this probably just took that idea.
Holy crap.
The AssCast every week. Just have something from Assassin's Creed.
Don't make me Twitter this. Not Twitter it. Google this.
Oh my god, if it's a thing, that would make me sad.
Oh, I'm sure it's a thing.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's not about Assassin's Creed.
Yeah. So that's why I fucked up the number. I was thinking about the AssCast. This week, we're going to talk about some streaming news, Microsoft's xCloud, and then Google's Stream, which ties into Assassin's Creed nicely, because Anthony and I are both going to talk about things that we're playing, and it's probably Assassin's Creed. So why don't we just dig right in with, first of all, the fact-checking squad. Is AssCast a real thing?
No. There are some podcasts that... Well, there's this AssCast podcast, but they haven't... The last time they posted anything was March 19th.
Uh-huh. So not sticking with the AssCast over there.
No.
Might have to
it's
swoop in.
AssCast69 on Twitter.
AssCast69?
69. Yeah.
Nice.
They only have 5 followers, so I don't think it went anywhere.
Speaking of Twitter, real fast, quick shout out to Martin Stones, mstones7. He got our Steam code last week for American Truck Simulator, whatever it was.
Yeah, I think it was American Truck Simulator.
Yeah, so thank you, Martin, being the first person to let us know that you redeemed a code. So we know that's gone out there and people are playing it, enjoying it. I'm glad it went to someone who could enjoy it, because not me. Great. So we're going to start with streaming. There was news this last week. I mean, I think we've known for a couple weeks about Google Stream, and they were going to launch with Assassin's Creed Odyssey, where you could basically play in a browser on Chromebook or anything, because all the processing power is Google somewhere. And then also Microsoft came out and said, here's our xCloud idea, which we're going to be able to stream to tons of devices. And hearing a lot of feedback this week about Google Stream, I've had some thoughts, but I wanted to get your thoughts first, since you're a dev, and what this means, how it, aside from like the infrastructure argument that we've kind of had about whether or not it could work here because of our lines and internet speeds, the idea of game streaming like this that they're proposing, what do you think about it?
I mean, if it can reduce the cost to playing games, it's probably a great thing. Mm-hmm. It definitely reduces barriers to playing games.
Right.
It does still bring up things to me about is this the best way to experience some games?
Right.
And being a developer, there is a point where you're like, well, does the integrity of the play experience, how important is that?
In terms of like dropped frames or resolution? Is that
drop frames, resolution, input lag.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Input lag's a huge one.
Right.
Like, what games... Like, I'm pretty amazed that they're going to try doing Assassin's Creed through streaming. Because I remember back in the day with Black Flag on PS4, I was still at PopCap, and there was a coworker there who had a Vita, and he tried streaming Black Flag from the PopCap office to his house about 10 miles away.
Mm-hmm.
And it worked, roughly, but as he said, and it was clear, he would never do combat with it. Like, it was great for exploring around, but it was still too much lag for combat.
That's how it was with me too. When I was in LA with my Vita, and I was streaming Dragon Age Inquisition from my house in San Diego, and all I could do was farm materials because it was too laggy to really get anything else going.
Yeah.
And that was many years ago, like 4 years ago, 3 years ago. But still,
maybe they can fix that up. But I mean, we talk about infrastructure problems. I mean, there's still a problem with there is latency over streaming,
right?
And it always will be there because the servers are never that close to you,
right?
For most people. So I feel like there's a certain integrity to gameplay that is lost there, for especially action games. unless they can figure out some way to fix this. And that's where I'm like, Google, I'd be very interested to see how Google's stream works. Maybe I haven't seen a bunch on it. Have they talked about if you'll be able to like demo it at all?
People
without paying for it.
People are doing that right now with Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
You can do it right now?
Yeah, so people sign up for a beta, and there's a bunch of influencers and people in games media who got access to it. And so I've heard from like 3 or 4 different podcasts and a couple of different articles. Basically, if your internet speed is fast, like it's pretty good. There's some drop frames, some resolution drops every now and then. And I think it was someone from Kotaku was saying like, the input lag is there, but you kind of adjust for it and get used to it. It kind of stays constant.
Well, it depends on how much the lag is. Yeah, that's the thing. Like
for his experience,
it can be a little bit higher. It just can't be like 500 milliseconds.
Right. Like where it's
probably got to be like 100 or less. Really.
Well, his experience was just what was happening to him. I don't know exactly what the technical aspects of it was, but he was saying that it was noticeable, but he adjusted to it, and it was it was a good start, and it felt like he was playing the game. And it was one guy was playing it on his Google Chrome browser, so not a very good computer, obviously, but it doesn't matter because you're streaming it through the browser, and it's just kind of as a proof of concept. A lot of people seemed a lot more positive on it than they thought. Like obviously, if it was like launching right now, it would not be fantastic. Mainly for the reasons you mentioned about the frame rate, the resolution, the input lag, and things like that. But to think about the ability to get games into people's hands you don't need to buy a box anymore. You could just use your browser and plug a controller. It's going to open up a lot of it's going to open a lot of new customers, because I think the profit's made on the software, right? And they're not really.
It's always made on the profit on software, unless you're Nintendo, who tries their hardest to make profit on the hardware,
even if it's only a couple bucks per box.
Yep. Yeah. They want to. It's just a standard that they've set for themselves.
Right.
But like Sony, Microsoft, they take a loss on the console to hopefully sell more software and get a cut from that. So I mean, it's true. It's going to get more people ideally to play these games that can't. I think I just have to get over myself and the fact that, you don't own any of this stuff.
Yeah,
it's a lot like Netflix or any of the other stuff, and being like, guess what? You just stream what you want to play, and that's what you get. And if it goes away, it goes away.
Do you find that any different than Steam, where when you download stuff, you don't technically own it, you just own a license to it? I know there is a difference, but I wonder how you would articulate that difference.
I would say in a weird way, because I've had this happen on Steam. I mean, Steam is mostly they've earned a certain level of trust. So there are games on Steam that you cannot buy anymore.
Like Alan Wake, for example.
Alan Wake, I believe some of the Dragon Ages aren't on there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But I still have them in my library.
Right.
There's a bunch of PopCap games that aren't on Steam anymore. And I still have all those in my library.
And even if you delete it off your hard drive, you can re-download it, right?
I can re-download it.
Okay.
I'm like, it's very rare that I've seen a game just disappear off of Steam. Mm-hmm. Like, that's a big deal, because they've basically put it where it's like, no. Like, if it's been on there, someone buys it, they keep it.
Right. You can delist it, but they still have access to it.
Yes. And that's what they've said. And so that's at least given me some trust there, being like, I will get these, and weirdly, you can back up your digital games. No one ever did it. I don't even know if it exists on Steam anymore. I won't launch Steam right now.
Yeah.
But for a long time, you could actually select a game and say, I want to make physical copies of this.
Oh, interesting.
And it would back it up as a physical.
With DRM or not?
Yeah. And if you wanted to play it and install it, you could install it off the physical media through Steam.
Mm-hmm. Dang.
So they wanted to do stuff where they were putting a lot of trust and saying, you buy stuff here, you can keep it.
Right.
And there was a lot of talk, and it's never come up, if that Steam ever went away, they would try to get it so people could keep the games that they have.
Right.
Like, it would be like, hey, download everything you want that you own, because it's going away.
Do it now, because we're going to shut up the service.
We don't have it. Yeah, exactly.
Well, that makes sense why it's different, because like on Netflix, when something leaves, you haven't, for the most part, downloaded it. I guess there's some on apps or whatever, you can download like a movie or whatever. But
for the most part, no. it's gone. Like, you just are up to the content curation as it comes through.
Right.
And you don't even own a license to any of the stuff on Netflix. So this is a thing when you start doing streaming like this. Do you buy individual games, or are these services, they have a curated list of games that you can play that rotates?
And you just play like Game Pass. You pay a monthly fee and then comes in and out.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And that's a completely different thing. And I don't know. I haven't seen a lot of talk on like what the real the monetization that they're going to go for. Are they just going to sell straight up? I buy a game for $60 and I have it for streaming everywhere. Or more of these subscription-based plans. I was looking, like, most of the stuff all just talks about tech now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, you can do this stuff, but no one's really talking about, like, Google or Microsoft with their xCloud on what that actual is for the end user and how they want to set up the service.
Yeah, I feel like that's when they're ready to launch it, getting close at least. Like, they're not. I don't even know if they're at a point where they think they're going to launch it. They got to make sure it works, I guess. The thing that appeals to me is, like, I'm looking at my Xbox One S right now, and if Xbox streaming goes the way they want it to go, I wouldn't need to get a new box. I could use my S and stream much higher resolution games, assuming that I have internet that's fast enough.
Yes,
so that's pretty appealing to me. And obviously you could stream off of like a, I don't know, Roku TV or whatever else if they went that direction, because it wouldn't matter what your hardware was.
Yeah, at that point it doesn't matter. It's just whether they made an app for your device you want to use.
Right. Correct. Yeah, just it's appealing, because the next generation is kind of coming down on us, and I would like to continue to use the boxes that I have because I still have a lot of juice to wring out of these.
And then there is the thing, though, with this that does come up of being if you want to do the streaming, you have to have internet connectivity all the time.
Yeah, right.
Where you pretty much need that anyway a lot of times. Although I can, like, when you talk about Steam, as long as I have it downloaded, I can be in offline mode in Steam and still play my games.
Right.
Like, they don't require you to connect all the time. I've totally played games when my internet's down. And I believe even, you can be disconnected with a PS4 and still play your physical games. They don't care. Right. I don't know about downloaded games. I haven't tried that.
I've been offline and played my games just fine. I don't know if it's I haven't been offline for an extended period of time. I wonder if you were offline for longer than a week or whatever. If it couldn't ping, it would shut them down or something like that.
Yeah, but still, there's definitely a thing where it's like, well, anything you're talking about the streaming service or anything like that, it's like, it's probably not a likely scenario that you're going to lose internet for that long.
Right.
But it happens. You have internet goes down, or you're just in a place where you don't have internet. This is where I'm like thinking to like, well, would I do this? I'm happy with like the Switch and it doesn't need internet, but I can play it anywhere I want to go.
Right.
So, I mean, there's a balance there, and it does really suck when your internet goes down and, like, you're watching Netflix and it's gone. And you're like, well, guess I'm not watching any of this for a while. Hopefully Comcast gets my internet back up.
You mean currently? Because you're using it right now. Oh, okay.
No, sometimes. I definitely had times where my internet just goes down for a few hours.
All right. Yeah, I was like, wait.
And I've been in the middle of stuff, and now working from home, it's really noticeable.
Oh, absolutely.
It dies.
Yeah.
And I was like, I guess I'm just gonna be working on my own local stuff right now. Right. So anytime streaming stuff, there is that potential where you're like, well, I can only do this while I have some form of connection. And I really don't think cell connection is going to be good enough right now to stream over LTE.
Yeah, because the xCloud thing said that it's going to dynamically scale, so it could go over 4G just fine, but then reach the upper limits of 5G. And it's like, that sounds
dubious.
Yeah, I was going to say like a fantasy.
I mean, it is. Like
I don't know
I remember doing testing when I was doing phone games.
Mm-hmm.
We actually had set up a fake phone, a Wi-Fi on a stupid like Apple computer in the office near us that had, as we called it, shit connection. And it was specifically so that we could test our mobile game against a really crappy connection to make sure it didn't break.
Right.
Whenever you knew packets are being dropped, the connection speed was intermittent, would go up and down.
Mm-hmm.
And I guarantee you streaming games is going to not work if that's happening.
Yeah. And think about large swaths of the country where unless you're next to a server farm, you're really screwed. And I don't want to call out Idaho, for example, because I don't know where the servers are, but it seems like remote places are going to be in trouble.
Yeah, remote places are going to be in trouble. It still, to me, feels like, yes, this is the future in some way. I just don't know if we're there yet, still.
Right.
And I guess they just got to put it out there and start working at it.
Well, the nice thing with Xbox is that it sounds like they're putting this out alongside the next Xbox box, too. So it's not just all streaming. But Google obviously doesn't have a box, so this might be this might be their thing.
They're going to try it. Yeah, I mean, it's technology worth pursuing and trying. And as we already see, certain countries can do this better. Japan already been doing it for years.
Right.
Because they got Assassin's Creed Odyssey streaming already. I believe Ubisoft streamed it there.
On the Switch, even.
Yeah. Hey, could we get it streamed on the Switch here?
I mean,
come on.
I would love those AAA experiences to be streamed on the Switch.
Just can we say if you live in a major city, guess what? You get to stream these games.
Right. That sounds great, considering I live in one. And
exactly.
You do too, or close to one.
Yep.
So, I'm all for it. Bring me that future alongside the standard boxes that we have.
Which is interesting. So Microsoft's saying that they want this to go along with their next Xbox.
Right.
What are they going to call that thing? Xbox. Someone joked about it. I saw it on Twitter. One of my friends, it'd be great, and this would expect the marketing of Microsoft to call it the Xbox 3.
Yeah, that would be fun. That's the one they missed, right? They went instead of the what was Xbox? Oh, they went to Xbox 360. That's
Xbox 360.
Because they didn't want to have a 2 out next to the PS3, I guess.
Yeah, but
I don't know. It's something I think about once a week. What are they going to name an Xbox? It seems like they've worked themselves into a corner.
The Xbox 2. God, it'd be so dumb. I don't know.
Yeah, it'd be pretty dumb.
But man, if they're already talking about that, are they really planning a new console? I guess they're in the middle of it.
God, it feels like that was it Treyarch or Sledgehammer or whoever's next for COD. They're recruiting people for next gen COD, and they're due to release theirs next year. And people are like, "Well, that means they'll be next year." I was like, I don't think next year, but we're getting closer, which is crazy because there's so much that you can do with these boxes now. It's I don't know. I guess they need to sell more boxes or whatever. But if the PS5 is backwards compatible, it's kind of an easy decision.
I think it will be.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at it now and seeing some of the stuff that is going out and asking to developers, I know Cerny was going out and talking to the Sony studios again about what they want in a console, and it sounded pretty much that they wanted to keep the same architecture. So it feels like games will be easily backwards compatible.
Yeah.
So it will just be a revision of hardware. But I mean, will Sony double down on this more? I mean, they have PS Now.
Yeah, and they had it. I mean, not first, but they've had it for a while, and obviously it was much maligned just because of those exact issues we were talking about.
Yeah.
I've never given it a try, so I don't know how it would work here. But just not horror stories, but the not working well for people, kind of turning off of it. But now you can download. So.
And that's one of the things, though, with PS Now. The whole thing, and I think it's going to be the same thing for Stream and xCloud, is how many percent of people does it have to be work good for to be a worthwhile service? What's the failure rate that you're okay with?
God, it seems like the failure rate would have to be low.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. Because I think Xbox... Did they want to do the betas next year, or did they want to launch it next year? I can't remember. Probably the betas.
Public trials in 2019.
Okay, yeah, that's it.
So they can learn and scale with different volumes and locations.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Figure out where they need to build new server farms.
Well, it's going to be interesting. I was quite taken aback this week hearing a lot of the feedback where people using Stream were talking about it very favorably. Not like a one-to-one with like running it natively on your PS4 or whatever, but they were pretty happy with what they were getting. Also, they were getting to play Assassin's Creed Odyssey for free. So I think most of the Games Press does it anyways. But yeah, speaking of Assassin's Creed Odyssey, let's move into the AssCast portion of our podcast here.
The back AssCast?
The back AssCast, there we go. The back half of the podcast with the AssCast. We have both been playing Odyssey. You've been playing way more than me. You're at what, 37, 38 hours? 40 hours?
40 something.
Yeah.
Or close to 40.
Okay. And I'm at 13, which is still, since that's like an hour a day for me, it's pretty good. And I'm going to start, and I want you to kind of pop in with the stuff that you were experiencing when you went through what I went through. And this is obviously spoilers for Assassin's Creed Odyssey, so I'm going to try to... I don't know. I think I'm just going to say this is going to be spoilers because I want to talk with you about this. Got to the end of the Fakis, or at least this part of the Fakis storyline, where I went after the dude who hired me to kill the wolf, and found him in a cave and killed him, and found out about the cultists, and went after
Cult of Cosmos.
Cult of Cosmos, yeah. Went after a secret meeting with Herodotus and dressed up like a cultist and went in and gathered information about them. And during that phase, I want to ask you what you did. Because I went in...
Oh, God.
I went in under the guise of like trying to be like one of them, so that I didn't get found out. And there was one part where one guy's like screaming at another guy for not killing someone. So you kind of intercede, and you're like, your choices are let the crazy guy kill the guy, or say you'll kill that failed cultist yourself, or to convince him to let him go.
I convinced him to let him go.
So did I. I felt weird about it because as it was happening, I was thinking, okay, I want to roleplay as these guys, so I should let him kill him, or I'll do it. And then I thought, this is kind of like those tests where, like, when you become a guard in a prison, you end up becoming like more severe or whatever. So I was like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to let him go. And then he said, well, I'm going to go to Athens or wherever and kill Phidias, this artist. And I was like, shit, is this one of the bad timelines that I just like stepped into? If I had done this differently, would that artist be alive or whatever?
I don't know. That's interesting.
Yeah, so I felt like that was like an inflection point that we'll find out later, and you haven't obviously found that out yet, so maybe it's not.
You know, maybe I just forgot about it. I'm trying to think if I did anything with Phidias in Athens.
Or maybe you didn't because he's dead.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I did stuff with an artist in there.
Okay.
I totally did. He's still alive. I get it.
Okay. Huh.
But I had a quest to do with him there.
Okay. So I wonder how that plays out, or if it doesn't at all. So I thought that was very interesting.
Right.
And then you get to the end, and you're waiting for this Demos guy to come and trying to like piece together who he is. And when he comes, he steps in the frame. I'm like, oh, well, that's a big twist. That's actually Alexios. That's the other guy you could have played. So he's the leader of the cult, or is that what he is?
He is not the leader.
Okay.
He is one of the leaders, and specifically, it seems like he is the strong arm of the cult, and he's definitely been raised in the cult and to be a very specific way.
Right, because they like found him when he was thrown off the cliff or whatever.
Yeah. And so one thing, because I asked my friend who is playing as Alexios.
Oh, is that okay? The guy I know, right? Our
friend Carl. He is playing as Alexios, and I asked him, okay, just break it down. Like, so was Cassandra Demos? He's like, yes.
Oh, okay.
They flip it. Cassandra's Demos, but in the flashback sequences, Cassandra is the baby.
Oh.
And Alexios is the older child. They just completely swapped the characters.
Right. Okay. It's pretty interesting to make them both canon. Both in the story. That's cool. But it was like, oh wow, I did not see that coming, and I should have, considering we're like playing a Greek tragedy basically. But I thought that was a really cool twist, and I'm looking forward to where it goes from there. And I'm sure there are more twists coming.
So what do you have to do now? Where did it put the quest?
Thermopylae. I have to go to Thermopylae now to meet Herodotus before we go on to the next big piece. He wants to show me something in Thermopylae or whatever.
Yep. All right. You have that.
Yeah, and I'm pretty close. I'm pretty close to the coast there, so I should.
Yep.
I might do that tonight. Just go.
See
what there is there.
That's a thing. So you still? I'm trying to think. You haven't had your modern day thing yet.
Mm.
You're getting close though.
Yeah, it feels like
a modern day.
I feel like that beat's coming. Here. Yeah.
Yeah. It's super short. This game has made me. I'm like, they don't even care about the modern day anymore.
Who does?
Games.
I'm sorry if one of our listeners does, but geez,
I did at one point. I just don't care now.
Yeah. Maybe after 2, the whole sequence of 2 games, the whatever, fucking 2 and Brotherhood and Revelations or whatever they're called. I don't know.
Yeah.
The game is just fucking compelling, and there are like 3 or 4 or 5, 6 question marks still in Fakis that I haven't gone to, and I'm deliberately going to leave them because in Origins I did everything and just got bogged down, and after about 40 hours only got about 2/3 of the way through the story. So I want to like not burn out on everything. I
still haven't burnt out.
Yeah, that's
amazing.
Yeah, that's good.
On the fact that I just check every question mark. I don't do every question mark.
Right.
That's
sometimes
for sure,
like a million camps is a little annoying.
Yeah, but sometimes I've now gotten pretty quick at clearing a camp, so I'm like, sure, why not? Let's just clear it real fast and get some loot.
I just don't want to leave. I don't want to leave a tomb behind, basically.
Tombs are really good. Forts take a while, but man, do they give good rewards.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
That's just where I get like a sequence of like 10 mercenaries. Like happened to me this week when I was playing with you. It was just like one mercenary after the other, and it was. Well,
like that's only if you get seen.
Yeah, that's true. And that time I did for sure.
Yeah. So I mean, there's all of that. I'm trying to think of other. So you went through that for all the Foki stuff. You got the cults. So now you have the whole game.
Yeah, I assume I have all the pains now. There's no other.
You have all the pains. You have all the you have all the mechanics of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. Now you're free to roam and do what you need to do.
There are so many gameplay systems in this game. It is goddamn ridiculous. Like how much is stuffed in this game. And I think we both did. We bought the season pass bundle, basically the gold edition, and I feel like this is well worth that without the DLC.
Yeah,
it's insane how big this game is and how well done. Like I'm still stunned by the character animations of Cassandra. Like it seems really well done to me.
Yeah, and they get better, and I would say like I'm noticing even more still, and fun reactions and cutscenes. The quests, like this past week playing from where I was last week, I've really do feel that this is very much in the vein of Witcher 3.
Mm-hmm.
Story-wise, side quest-wise. The side quests, the one I did last week that was really big, or maybe it was this week. It's all blurring together. The Ebbia stuff doesn't really tie in to the cultist stuff at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like I thought it was leading to the fact that there was going to be a cultist there running the whole thing, but it doesn't. But it thematically fits with what's going on.
Yeah.
But the current island, Mykonos, that's where I'm at now. There's a crazy quest there, and it totally ties into the cult pain. And I was not expecting it to. And I'm finding clues about cultists and about the leader on this island, and they're part of the cult, but then it has conflicted with not your family relationship, but other family relationships on the island of people that you're trying to work with, and that's where it's very much Greek story.
Mm-hmm.
They really play up the complicated families in this game. But it's that's where I was playing. Was it last night when we were talking? I believe I was on Mykonos doing that story, and I was stopping and going the holy crap, this story is great.
Yeah.
It was just a great side quest. It's super compelling. I'm not done with it, but it's super compelling. It has twists and turns I'm not expecting, and it's just a side quest. That's
what where the Witcher 3 really stood up, was where people were talking about side quests, how like the Tower Full of Mice, like with Kira Metz, like that's something you never had to do, and it's the thing that stuck with me the most from that game. So I'm just deeply looking forward to something like that from this game, and just based on the main storyline already, like it is solid, super solid. This game is firing on every single cylinder. There's nothing in this game so far where I'm like, I wish it had this or that. Like it's just giving me everything at a 10.
I actually think I'm enjoying it more as I'm playing more.
That's awesome.
Like I'm super invested in the RPG side of it now. Like the loot finding, I'm doing legendaries. I'm like trying to build legendary sets, I get bonuses, and like I'm respecing myself to be spec'd around these legendary sets.
Well, that's a cool thing that you led me to last night when I faced the Caledonian boar and kind of got my ass handed to me the first time because I didn't really understand the mechanics of the arena basically we were fighting in. But you were talking about how you respect just for that fight, and I did the same thing in a way that I thought matched my playstyle, and it just, I wrecked shop when I went back to him.
Yeah.
And then I, set it back to something else, and it's nice. There's a nominal fee to respec, and then you can just build yourself up for a certain arena. That kind of breaks the immersion a bit because as a person or a mercenary, you wouldn't be resetting your skills all the time, but it's also a video game, so I'm enjoying that part.
It's also a video game, and you're in the Animus in that video game.
Good point. That is correct.
They actually put a contextual element. I mean, that's the one thing that the modern day and the Animus element does, is they can contextualize gameplay systems in the world.
Right. That's smart. That works really well. The more I play this, the more I just want them to make their own Skyrim. Like, make a fantasy RPG with all these systems that's not historical based at all. Just do that kind of thing. I don't know if I need them to, because this is plenty for me and whatever's coming next or whatever, but it's just cementing Assassin's Creed as one of my favorite series ever, and it makes me want to go back and play all the rest of them. And I know they're obviously different than this playstyle, but I also enjoyed the old playstyle too. So I enjoyed the shit out of Syndicate. I still think it's one of my favorite games. So
I mean, Syndicate is a very much the old playstyle where it's the sequences. If you die or you're spotted when trying to assassinate, sometimes you just have to restart the sequence.
Right. Well, yeah, kind of like ending of chapters where you finish the mission and it kind of all freezes and like overlays text saying like how much you did and how many memories you synced and all that stuff.
Exactly. That's really until Origin that's the game.
Right, and that's fine. I still like those games. So
they just aren't RPGs. Correct. Really.
And
they are stealth action games,
right? Which is fine. And the battling system or the combat system is much more simplified, but still good stuff. But overall, like this, I knew going into this year that I wasn't going to play a ton of games, and I thought that my game of the year list would be pretty simple, and it's not. I've got Celeste, I've got Hollow Knight, and I've got this one that I don't know which one is number one, And as I play more Odyssey, it'll become clear where it rests. But I know, based upon my time with Origins and based on what you're saying about your experience with Odyssey, like it's just going to improve. And
it does in weird ways. Like I don't know. Like I hit Athens, I'm like, okay, Athens. This is going to be a bog because things break out into lots of different quests. But they're interesting quests. They're interesting characters. And what you do, you meet Socrates. And he's as annoying as you would expect him to be. Oh my god.
Like his questioning of everything.
Oh god.
Yeah.
And of course they don't give you nuanced answers. Like they're purposely giving your dialogue options to be like this or that, which are the more black and white to his questions, so he's gonna say something else to counter what you just said and like make it this big paradox. And god, Cassandra's reactions to it are amazing.
Oh, I can't wait.
It's just really funny, and he just keeps popping up, which is the great part.
Is Sophocles in this? Have you met Sophocles?
I believe, yes, Sophocles was in it.
Okay, cool. I don't know my time frames, but I assume it's around that time.
He died in 406. Yeah, he's alive.
Okay.
So yeah, Sophocles. I met him. I talked to him. He was. You'll see. Like there's an.
I hope there's.
I think it was another night we were playing. We were on party chat, and I hit this part, and I was just like, I think it was my phrase was like, I am so happy.
Yeah, I remember.
And it was a point where you meet. There's a character that shows up. I was just super happy that they showed up. But then you're in a place where you have Sophocles and Euripides.
Oh,
I can't remember exactly.
Yeah,
another
Euripides
player. Yeah, Euripides. Herodotus is there. Socrates is there. All these just crazy, famous historical characters. And it's done so well. That was such a fun, like, interlude and change of pace for a little bit.
God, I hope there's some sort of Oedipus Rex storyline, like some sort of side quest.
Oh God! I mean, can they really stop themselves? That's my thing. Like,
I don't think so. I think you got to go all in.
Yeah, I think it's got to be somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
I am also looking forward to getting to Lesbos.
Level 50.
Okay,
it's total in-game stuff. There's definitely some where I'm like, crap, there's some of these islands that are really high level. It's going to be a while.
Yeah. Well, I assume that DLC will raise the level cap too. But we're a ways away from that.
Yeah.
Maybe me more than you, of course.
On a complete random side tangent, holy crap, Sophocles for that time period died when they think somewhere between 90 and 92 years old.
Dang, that's
how the hell did you live that long in that time period?
Wow, that is way outstripping the average life expectancy. Holy shit. I guess you gotta write.
Write a lot and live in Athens, basically.
Eat lots of olives, drink olive oil, drink wine.
Yeah, holy crap. All right.
Wow. That's
but yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, I've really been just having a blast this past week with the game. Like,
yeah, I totally agree.
Just absolute blast.
Totally agreed. It is beautiful, and the gameplay is fantastic. The naval battles, I've actually really got into them.
Smash people. It's actually the best way to go about things. Just get yourself, like, take some pot shots with arrows and stuff as needed, but line up those ram charges over and over and over.
Yeah, it's so fun. So satisfying. Really, really fun. Yeah, so that's us with Assassin's Creed this week. We're going to continue with that, obviously. Probably after the podcast. Who knows? I don't know what you're doing, but I probably will pop in for a little bit.
Although I have new Doctor Who to watch. So.
Oh, is it the new season?
Female Doctor Who. I watched last week was the premiere. It was the second episode. And it ended with a cliffhanger. So I really want to see what happens.
Okay.
But huge thumbs up. She's perfect as the Doctor.
Awesome.
Like, encapsulate it from her first moment. You're like, this is the Doctor. And makes it her own, but clearly is riffing on older Doctors too. Mm-hmm. Like, you just see the character in her. It's great. So, it's super weird. It's Doctor Who. So,
yeah, I watched a couple episodes and kind of, I don't know.
Yeah. So, but I mean, if you want to see a female Doctor, this is the time to start.
Yeah, I think I might try to check it out. Are you watching on BBC or are you downloading?
Downloading.
Yeah, okay.
Although I have, so weirdly, I've used before because they stream it for free in BBC in England.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can just stream.
VPN.
Yeah, I will use a VPN to VPN somewhere in England so I can watch it.
Correct.
I've done that a couple episodes of Doctor Who before.
Nice.
Thank you for the people that have free VPNs out there for me to connect through.
There's a really nice one in the Opera browser that's just totally free and built in. That one's really nice. Yeah, cool.
Actually, Opera's where I used it.
There you go.
Because that thing was nice.
Yeah, it is really nice. One last game that I'm playing that I want to talk to you about quickly is Peggle Blast.
Oh my god!
I found myself with a bit of a break. Go to my favorite tea shop and only have my phone. I was like, well, I used to go here and play games and drink tea, so I'm going to play on my phone. Played some Mario Run. Really fun. Still fun. Like, they have these new remix levels, or new a while ago, I guess, and it's just as good as Mario can get on a handheld. It feels really nice. But then I popped over to Peggle Blast, and man, I didn't realize they varied up the gameplay in that game. Like, the different levels, like
they did
breaking eggs or other challenges besides
Yeah,
just
they
getting
did
out
a
the
bunch
orange.
of stuff with it. It was great
Yeah.
overall. Like, it finally released after I had already quit. But before I quit, I was early. I did control prototyping.
Well, the controls feel great.
And I was, well, they did basically take what I had, which was like movement speed and acceleration of how fast you're moving moves the thing. But for my like experiments, I literally took original Peggle mobile, turned it portrait mode, because it was always done in landscape, turned it portrait, and then stubbed in different controls. So you just play the original Peggle with all these different controls I was trying.
Yeah.
And I was like the only person in Seattle working on it. Most people that did that were out of our San Francisco office. So when it finally shifted all the work down there, that's when I was done with it. But I got to work in the labs and figure out and like just present different controls, which was a lot of fun. Peggle's awesome.
I forgot how much I liked it, and it was.
I think they missed the mark once it gets free to play stuff. Like it never actually caught on, is the thing.
Yeah.
But it definitely hits a point where you think Peggle is fantastic overall. You're like, oh, people could just buy for monetization and free to play. You're like, oh, they could buy extra balls, just different boosts and things like that. But you start realizing that the nuance on like the difficulty of a Peggle level is really hard to hit. Like to find that through line of what the proper difficulty is, and it's really noticeable when a level is made extra difficult
just to get you to buy stuff.
Yes, it's very noticeable. Like the game doesn't give a lot of gray area there. You're just like, oh, this is a level designed to screw me. Awesome.
That's interesting, because there was one level in the first world that I was like, wow, this is way more difficult than the rest. But then I thought through my strategy and beat it the second time, no problem. But it was way different than the rest, and I thought, that's strange. And
you start seeing more of that, and you see a lot of in the free to play world. Like, if people start noticing that stuff, they tend to drop.
Yeah.
And that's bad for free to play games.
Right.
So, yeah, unfortunately that game never took off. It didn't do great.
Yeah. I'm enjoying
monetization. It has a bunch of content, a bunch of quality. They generally nailed the physics and the feel of Peggle.
Right.
It just isn't like most PopCap games that were made free-to-play stuff, like the whole shift to free-to-play. It's hard to translate those games to free-to-play.
Right, because it changes the whole
you need to design games from the start as free-to-play if they're going to be free-to-play.
Right.
And like that's why PvZ2, I think the free-to-play elements of it fail.
Right.
But it's a game not designed thinking about free-to-play elements.
Right.
It's just like, no, like, and so it just feels bolted on, which is unfortunate, but it's true. That's just the games PopCap had made previously. So it's a fun Peggle game, though. There's a bunch of stuff in it, a bunch of new mechanics that got experimented with.
It was. I picked up just to kind of be like, well, let's see what it's like, and then I could not stop until I beat the world, and it was just like, oh yeah, I remember this game. Obviously, some different mechanics and things, but it felt great.
Yeah, it's still Peggle.
It's still Peggle. So,
which it still reminds me, I have never actually beat Peggle 2 on console.
Neither have I. I've really only spent time with Peggle 1. Me too. I have it on Xbox One, or probably even PS4.
Yeah, because it originally came out on Xbox One.
Yeah.
But then they did put it on PS4.
Yeah,
it never got PC release, though.
Oh, it was just on the consoles?
Yeah, it was just a console release.
Yeah, I only ever spent time with Peggle, the original one, on PC. Never played 2. But
it's still really good.
Is there a platinum for Peggle?
Probably. I don't know. Peggle 2.
If there is, I'm going to spend some time with it.
I'm sure it's insane and dumb.
Yeah.
There is a platinum trophy.
Okay, I might
oh my god, I'm sure it's just would take forever.
Yeah. Well, that's been Pegglecast, episode 161. Yes. This is Prof and Dev Play Games, also known as the AssCast. Please, if you like the...
We should never keep that name. Never.
I'm going to put in interstitial episodes about my Assassin's Creed experience on like Thursdays or something and call it the AssCast.
AssCast.
If you like our show, definitely give us some ratings. If you like the name AssCast, definitely give us really good ratings. And we will be back next week talking more about Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Yeah.
Good night, folks.
Later.